10 seconds to go. 5 seconds. Radiant's pick.
Good evening, Dota fans. Welcome back to the Kiev Major South American Qualifiers. My name is Toffees. You can find me at Toffees TV, and I'm joined as always by my partner in crime and resident genius, Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You can find him at the Wonder Cow over there on the tweets as well, as we get set up for what might be the last game of the day, but may not. It's a unique situation. Vultur is eliminated. Not today isn't. Gorgon, tell me why this game matters so much.
Well, here's what happens, right? Because of that unfortunate incident with Unknown, ends up being a three-way tie at the top of the bracket, if Not Today win this, between Not Today and SG and Infamous, all of whom took one game from one of the other three teams, but lost the other one. So it ends up being there's no head-to-head results to break the tie, and they're all tied up at the top. So basically what we end up needing is another set of games to be played between these three teams. However, one of the teams, I believe it's Infamous, is not able to play beyond this point. So they'll default forfeit that tiebreaker and end up in the third slot. Whereas SG and Not Today will then play out a tiebreaker for the first and second slot, assuming Not Today win this game here.
So we were staring down the barrel of a three-way tiebreaker, but Infamous does us a solid and makes it a one-game tiebreaker should Not Today come out ahead. Should be a pretty interesting game. Now, that's not to say it's going to happen for sure, because Vultur is no pushovers, Gorgon. They're in the middle of the pack, but they've been performing very well in spurts of brilliance. The question is, after a full day of gaming, Not Today, probably a little bit tired, can Vultur use the fact that they've got nothing to lose to put those moments of brilliance into a package of win?
You know, Vultur, I've casted exactly half of the South America games, including half of Vultur's, and I've got to be honest, this is a team that I did not know coming into this event, and I was a little surprised by some of the moments of brilliance, as you put it. They had in some of these other games. Now, granted, they haven't been able to put them together consistently. They're still struggling quite a bit with overall cohesion and teamwork. I think their drafting could use a little bit of work in a lot of cases, but overall, it's definitely possible for them to upset a team if they have just the right combination of spices. And at the end of the day, with Not Today maybe feeling a bit fatigued and all of the drama that's now going on in the South America scene, maybe Vultur can sneak in a win.
It would be great for them. It would be great for the scene if they represented themselves in that way. It just wouldn't be good for Not Today. They're a team that definitely wants to advance here. And like we said, the reason that it's a was a potential three-way tiebreaker is each of the top three teams beat each other. So really, it's anybody's game. Also, though, I want to be honest about this, Gorgon. If you're reading the drama or being involved with what's sort of been happening in terms of the South American quits and some of the lower end of the bracket, the top half of this bracket, the players that have qualified have been absolutely professional, have been absolutely phenomenal in terms of their play. And I've seen things coming out of South America in this qualifier that I haven't seen before. I think that these top teams stand a chance of really representing themselves well in the next stage of the tournament.
Yeah, I just want to draw maybe a comparison between South America and CIS. And that several years ago, CIS was a very poor region of Dota players. They didn't really have the money infusion outside of basically Na'Vi in order to have full-time players. So you had a couple of cheating scandals, like South America's had a couple of basically game collusion scandals with match fixing. And you also had in CIS some bad manner stuff, maybe not to the same degree that we've been seeing in South America recently, but you did have some of those growing pains in that region. I mean, even Solo, 322 is a famous cheating scandal thing involving Solo, who now has played for Vegas Squadron. He plays for Virtus Pro. He's one of the more respected players in that region. Regions need a little bit of time to mature sometimes, and most of the teams and most of the players in this region have been nothing but professional. They've been very talented. They've been showing a lot of potential. And I'd really be amiss if the region as a whole was judged by the least professional members, like the 15-year-old from Unknown who was spam dropping items until his teammate quit.
Right.
I hope that's not the takeaway that people bring from this region, because we've been seeing a lot of potential talent bubbling up here for quite a while, and hopefully this game will showcase that.
Absolutely, and I'm very excited about seeing that. Now, Not Today has dropped one game, Gorgon, but the game that they dropped, we got to watch it, and it was on the back, if I remember correctly, of the Alchemist pick that just didn't work. And we've seen that happen time and again in this tournament. So to me, that is, I don't want to call it a fluke, but that's one of those moments where you look at a team's loss and you say, well, we could chalk that up to the other team sort of having the answer or the draft just not working. And that Not Today has a very, very, very good chance of not only winning this, but really advancing well with that top seed position. So they want to prove to us with this last pickup that that's what they're executing. The problem that I have is this is exactly how they led us into the Alchemist pick last time around. They showed us what looked like an aggressive tri-lane, 3 very aggressive support transitional heroes, and then backed it up with the Alchemist at the finish. And I hope to God we don't see that again.
Yeah. Taking a look at just the way that this draft should theoretically work, like you got really, really great initiation, but not a lot of damage so far. They really need to get themselves a mid that has some serious, probably magical damage, and a carry that probably has some serious physical damage. They also don't have anything in the way of like negative armor or amplification, so they're going to be very reliant on controlling fights in order to win, rather than actually being reliant on just bursting people down.
Right. So not. Oh, I'm sorry. Got attacked right there. We've been at this for a while. I got attacked by Jan. Timber Saw's gonna get picked up by Not Today. I like the Timber Saw. I think it fits their style. Not Today is very aggressive, right? And I feel like they do better when they aren't trying to play defensively, when they're trying to sort of come at you with everything that they have. And this draft so far screams, grab your pants and get ready because we're coming at you.
Yeah, well, Timber Saw's a pretty good pick here in terms of Vulture are already under the threat of needing to absolutely control fights, and Timber Saw is very, very difficult to lock down. Now, there is the difficulty that there are a lot of stuns for Vulture, so if the Timber Saw is not careful, he will find himself caught out a lot. But if he plays around the margins of this fight well, we're going to see Vulture spending a lot more resources on him than they would otherwise like to, and that means spending a lot less resource on Vengeful Spirit.
Or whoever this last pick is. Presumably we're going to be looking at the mid coming out here in the last pick for both teams, potentially. Or are they going to do a clockwork mid for Vulture?
So, no, I think the mid for Vulture is still pending, although it could actually be Klink's.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think it's still pending. For Not Today, they could run Timber Saw mid. I've seen them do that in the past, but once again, I suspect that's just going to be maybe even a Timber Saw safe lane with Undying, Vengeful Spirit, Warlock, and an aggressive try, and a mid yet to come. I know I've been calling those aggressive tries fairly frequently, but we've been seeing a lot of them too.
Well, I mean, you've been calling them; they've been happening. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I've been calling them a lot, but I've been calling them right. So
it seems like South America seems to sort of enjoy. I mean, honestly, this has been one of the most aggressive regions we've had a chance to watch. And aggressive tri lanes only work if you're active and you're looking for kills and you're getting ahead with the aggressive try. And that only works if your team is aggressive minded. A defensive team, if you have a bunch of defensive players, a bunch of fullbacks, will never make an aggressive try work. A bunch of strikers are going to hit it every time, and that's the kind of players that Not Today are. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that kind of stuff happen. Shadow Fiend gets picked up a very strong mid. Not Today has got to think about what they push forward. Is this a situation where we see yet another TA picked in this game, or is he not going to fare well against the Shadow Fiend?
I think it really ends up coming down to skill. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but Vulture, in theory, like just based on ranking and standing and prestige, they're not quite as comfortable as a team, and they're probably not quite as good of players in a mechanical sense. So I think you do have to weigh everything with that in mind. Vulture are definitely coming in as major underdogs here.
Now, it does make you wonder, though, Not Today could have Snap picked that if they had the confidence in the player hero, or the hero's player skill. So maybe something where they're talking it out now, saying, okay, what do you think you're the best on that can deal with the Shadow Fiend? And they do decide, okay, we've got someone who can handle the TA. The question is, was that delay there? Does that delay give maybe Vulture a little bit of confidence, saying, all right, you can do this? They weren't super confident about the TA, because TA was the obvious pick the second Shadow Fiend came out.
Yeah, and like that's already a pretty rough matchup for Shadow Fiend, but then you add on top of it the fact that we were already talking about how not today are more experienced players. You're going to need a lot of rotations is basically what it comes down to. And I guess you're probably going to get them because you're looking at a roaming Clinks.
Yeah, I think they're gonna use that Clinks in the same capacity that we often see a Ricky use, but I think with the potential to transition to a late game more effectively is my guess with the Clinks here. The Searing Arrows are an incredibly powerful harass tool, so he can really force these sort of lanes. And like you said, it may be an aggressive try. If you think about the damage the Searing Arrows bring, with the little help from the Rubik and the Centaur, they have some potential to really cause trouble in these lanes, and I think Clinks as a rotator is not a terrible idea.
Yeah, I don't have the confidence that you have, but they have nothing to lose here, right? For Vultur, you might as well try something fun if you're not possibly going to move on to the next round.
And by fun, we don't mean spam taunting and throwing your stuff on the ground. All right, let's do some quick introductions. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us for the first time, you're crazy to have missed South American Dota all night long, but welcome. My name's Toffees. This guy next to me, this troublemaker, is Gorgon the Wonder Cow, and we're bringing you the end of the SA qualifiers from the Kiev Major. It's going to be a good time. If not today wins this, we have one more game, a big tiebreaker between the top two teams in the tournament, and I'm kind of hyped about that, so hopefully not today takes this home. Sorry, Vultur. That said, though, it's going to be a good match. Let's do the introductions while the pause is going on, make life a little easier for us. For not today on the Dire side, we're going to have Zone zipping around on the Timber Saw. Hunter going to be playing that Undying Nevermore. Going to be getting the TA SQM on the Vengeful Spirit. And last but not least, Masoku, who I want to say has been one of my MVP picks in the South American tournament for his support play throughout this tourney, is going to be playing that Warlock.
All right, and here for P for Pete on the Shadow Fiend. No Name is going to be Clockwork. Another No Name is going to be on the Centaur War Runner. Al Godoa is on the Clinks, and Fullback is taking the Rubik. While we have a moment, we haven't done the last couple days games, but this is the last game, and I know there are Spanish viewers out there, so I just want to direct them to where to go if they're looking for us. Hola amigos, desafortunadamente no hay analistas españoles para este juego, pero disfruta de nuestra cobertura en inglés o va a twitch.tv/Mr. Choco para español. Gracias por unirte a nosotros. Okay, there we go.
All right. Hey, that's not out of the way. We want to. This is South American Dota. You know, if I could cast in Spanish, I would take a turn at it because I'm sure it would be an awful lot of fun. Passionate people, passionate language, always entertaining. Now, speaking of always entertaining, not today. Going to start off with a bang as they go straight to the smoke, rotate up, looking for a little bit of kill. Now, SG is worried about them sneaking in from the high ground on the top, and that's going to hurt them here. They do get. They spotted out. They did get spotted out, right? By Clinks Invisible.
By Clinks.
Nice.
Yeah, it lifted it up, and they didn't have any dust or anything, so it's just going to be a costly rotation. They should be able to grab this rune, but it's going to cost them their rune because Centaur realizes what's happening and is going to go back and grab it.
Great awareness by the Centaur. Goes up, grabs the rune, and will walk out the back door. Zone gets there just in time to go, Philly, it's gone. And they'll head to their lanes as it is. So each team takes their 2 runes and goes about their business.
Yeah, so I actually just watched this Not Today mid player destroy a Shadow Fiend as TA yesterday. Like, it was disgusting. It was one of the highest KDA games I think we've had of the entire tournament in any region. I would not be surprised. So this is a matchup that he's very comfortable with. Make no mistake about it.
All right, so then we'll keep an eye on that, as it should be a pretty good lane. And meanwhile, on the bottom, already a little bit of an assault going on the Centaur War Runner. Hunter going to be harassing him with the help of SQM, who's playing in that carry position. Algo coming forward, going to go ahead and cause trouble here for the Timber Saw. Lots of regen, though, obviously. Timber Saw, one of those annoying heroes to deal with here in the early game. What are they trying to accomplish with this aggressive try? I mean, can they get a kill on Timber? Nope, they're going to TP away, so smartly they decide it's not worth it.
I was going to say, I don't think that they really are trying to get a kill on Timber. They're just trying to find a place to apply pressure, is what it comes down to. This Clinks strategy with the Clockwork, like, you've got too many cores on this team, basically, so the only way to square that is to find a place to apply pressure that breaks the other team. It's really the only way this could possibly work.
Hunter going to hide in the trees, just coming out and doing his DK every time he's got it off a cooldown, then going back into the trees and hiding out. We do see the rotation. Warlock now going to be down here as well, so they've got their aggressive try, their counter-aggressive try once the rotation happened. Fullback gets the pick up and the throwdown, makes it a triple stun off of a nice little play there, and now we got the taunt from Hunter, and he finishes the job with the long shot decay. That was actually pretty pimped out, I'm not going to lie.
Not today. You cannot give them an inch. They're a very aggressive team. They know what they're doing. They're at this point in the tournament for a reason.
Now, interesting enough, I saw a very slight hesitation from the Rubik as he backed away. He got to about here on his way under the tower, and Undying hit his taunt, which makes him actually turn around and look like he's walking away for a second. And I saw Rubik pause and then get hit by the end of the decay. So I don't know if that was just super cheeky play from Not Today, but it really worked out well.
Yeah, I actually didn't catch that, but it would be really fun if the taunt actually convinced the Rubik to hang around, and he ended up dying.
Because he actually does a full body turn and animation turn without actually costing any movement speed. So something that could, I guess, effectively be used in that situation. Algo up on top, going head-to-head with Zone. The two of them will have fun harassing each other, I'm sure. Where's the early action to come from? Well, maybe not the mid lane, as TA looks like she's going off to get some stacks. Okay, so she's doing her own stacking, basically.
Yeah, which is, I mean, at this stage in the game, that's very, very efficient, right? The creeps are pushed up far too ahead of her own lane for her to safely be taking the wave. So she'd be losing out on gold anyway. Now, she would be getting this experience, but she only lost half a wave of experience, and she has a whole extra neutral camp to go farm later. I think it's a very good call.
All right, nice little rotation here. They come forward, but so does Nico. Nico, maybe a little too close for comfort, taking some damage. Catches the Undying inside of the cogs. He does get a great decay off, though. Nico has to turn and run. Stranger gets away, too. Nico doesn't have the missile, though, so Stranger will be able to TP to safety.
Yeah, and then that's so close for that Templar Assassin to knock down that kill. You could actually see her desperately attacking and then re-angle to try and get that one last side blade, but couldn't quite get the angle because the cogs had been there and just bunched the creeps all up.
All right, so this is a nice example of the Fatal Bonds into the play from Warlock. Lots of damage coming out, so the Centaur's going to have to fall back. Rubik taking some damage as well from SQM. 3 more right clicks will do the job. There's 2. Can he get the third? Nope. That's a nice little heal from Rubik to buy some space. SQM takes a ton of damage now, and he's got to run away with 55 health. Or does he, as he thinks about sticking around for some crazy reason?
SQM played the margins on that so well. He knew exactly when he had to turn back around when he'd gone too. Very few players can dive a tower like that and not go all in and actually back out and extradite themselves without dying. Well, once you go in like that, that's such a hard play to make.
Look at Zone up here. Zone is using his reactive armor charges to just wreak havoc here on Algo, who's just trying to stay in XP range.
Yeah, this is not a...
I hate laning against Timber Saws.
It's not a great lane for the Kling. So, granted, he has a bunch of Searing Arrows, but remember, Searing Arrows are physical damage, not magic. A lot of people think they're magical damage. They are not. So, reactive armor stops the bulk of that damage that's coming in, and there's not a lot that a Klings can do about it.
Right. So as you can see, he's just standing by, watching it happen, and then trying to get some last hits when he can. He's actually going back to base to heal at this point. To the bottom where SQM is really getting free farm. We finally see the Centaur come back to try and contest a little bit. 3 heroes have shown up in mid because Shadow Fiend also needs a little bit of help here. As he's doing well to start with, but you can start to feel the TA getting a little bit stronger and progressing faster into making Shadow Fiend's life difficult. There's a smoke, and they'll head to the top to deal with this Timber Saw.
Yeah, I really like this fade back smoke. The TA wouldn't have vision of this anyway, and the Klinks is just trying to keep him here long enough in order for the team to show up.
And here they will show up.
And this is trouble.
Tower went down. There's the pick up, the toss down, the cog. Zone tries to get away, cannot do it. So nice plays from Vultur to sort of punish the overconfidence, the arrogance of the Timber Saw. Excuse me, though he was able to push down that tower in the interim.
Yeah, the tower is a good grab. It's not great to give up a kill to a Shadow Fiend, particularly because he is now sitting on top of full Necromastery, although I suspect he was already sitting full. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm fairly certain that he was. He's had a pretty good start to his laning phase. Hunter going to come ahead and start to push that lane down. Already some good vision by the Dire to manage their lane effectively. Algo right back into the same boat he was before, dealing with zone here and not being able to get much done. I expected to see the floating clink. Some surprise that we haven't. Let's look back on the bottom. TP's coming out. Looks like they want to fight with SQM. Nico going to lead the charge. The support Clockwork, very interesting.
Yeah, it's not working out so well right here as the Clockwork is Fatal Bonds up and also caught in his own cogs, going to go down. The Fatal Bonds almost killing the Centaur War Runner as well. Will be able to get himself out. I don't think there's any.
There's no more. I had to check.
Left, so.
28 health, man.
Yeah, very, very close.
That Fatal Bond combo with the damage over time is just so brutal at this stage of the game. You can see exactly why Warlock's so popular at the moment.
Yeah, well, ultimately, the Fatal Bonds don't carry a lot of the Shadow Word damage, but what really ends up becoming a big issue is when your opponents are pushing into your tower anyway, so they're clearing your creeps really fast.
Yep.
That creep damage ends up becoming a lot of damage over Fatal Bonds.
Mm-hmm. And you're just suffering the dot the entire time, so it's just a lot of damage output.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The dot on him, not the dot as it's
the dot on him plus the Fatal
Bonds. In combination with
No. It's just a lot of total damage to suffer. And really, it doesn't cost Warlock very much. It's a grand total of 250 mana, which he just regens himself up relatively quickly. He's walking around with a ton of clarity so that he can every time run the clarity to his full length and hit the combo again.
Yeah, Warlock doesn't have a very large innate mana pool, so that is a restriction of the hero. But because he's not being engaged in that many fights right now, and there was really no pressure onto his lane, so he didn't have to use a lot of his mana using Shadow Word. That means that he has those resources for these heads-up fight. He hasn't had to use any of his clarities, or not very many of his clarities. And now look at this. You were talking about the Tombstone usage in a previous game, not really being used in a defensive or farming manner. This is a great example of using the Tombstone so that TA doesn't have to take a single hit from these Ancients in order to knock them down.
Absolutely. Now, SQM does get wrapped around on. He should go down here. Doesn't have a lot of safe space, and he will fall. So no one to rescue him. Algo up on top's got to be careful, but TA does get a very large stack. The gold lead, by the way, for Not Today, has broken 4,000 on the net worth. The XP is about 3. So Not Today really, I think, accomplishing what their goal is here, which is getting TA stacks. And they're going to do it again with this Ancient Rave. Are they going to get the timing right? I think they might have.
Yeah,
they got it. Perfect. So they're going to keep
There's actually a little wiggle room on this box because it doesn't go very wide to the south.
True.
It's only like here. So and their creeps will come out basically all the way out to here. So a lot more wiggle room on that camp than on these camps.
Makes sense. Gold lead at 4,000, XP at 3. Not Today playing their game. Once that TA is Desolate, what is she going for? Desolator friendly. Then I expect to see a lot of damage and some push start to come out very quickly in this match. Algo trying to find farm where he can. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I'm Vultur, we'll have to come back to this maybe.
Nah, he'll get away.
Do they have vision?
Oh, wait a minute. The turnaround. High ground turn. They want Undying. Undying says, Rutroll. They came in to get me, and he's got to try to run away. Not going to happen. So, really great play by Midas. And that's the map sense we saw in the last match. Kind of having the ability to know, okay, here's high ground. We've got a wraparound coming. Let's turn around and do this at the right time.
Shadow Fiend is doing really well this game. I did not expect him to be coming out on top of the net worth.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the range and he's got the spam ability in order to get his CS into a TA. He shouldn't be really very worried about dying unless heavy rotations come out for the TA. But he also isn't really able to harass a TA out of lane. So you would expect TA to come out of that with a very comparable amount of net worth. But Shadow Fiend's sitting about 10% ahead of the TA in terms of overall net worth.
Right. No, doing a really great job in this match, and he's sort of going to be their saving grace based on how things have sort of started out here. Got to try to deal with that TA who's going to be up and running relatively soon. Algo in some trouble. Can he dodge? Yes. So far, so good. Oh, not enough. The question is now, will Zone make the escape? He goes into the trees. TP's to safety. Started the TP before the chain, and is gone before anybody can find him.
I've not really been feeling the impact of this support Clockwork so far. I mean, he's had impact. He helped set up a couple kills. I haven't been seeing how the support Clockwork is giving impact that another more traditional support wouldn't have given more. But he is sitting at level 5, and he has a Tome of Knowledge in his inventory. He just hit 6, and he's about to hit 7 now because he used the Tome of Knowledge. So with
That'd be
with
nice.
the hook shot, and that sudden surge of experience that came from the tome, maybe this is actually going to break down into some pretty aggressive play coming out of Vultur. We can only hope.
It would be nice. I mean, if their original design was to sort of start out with Clinks in lane and then migrate him into the jungle and put Clock back into a farming position to get themselves 4 cores, I guess I could sort of see that working, hoping for an early gank that just didn't work out necessarily. Vultur with a bit of a slower start than they were hoping for off of that Clinks lane. That said, it looks like that's sort of where they're at. Nico here is running around, still doing some scouting, looking to find a little bit of farm on his own. Now, Algo, if they've got vision, could find himself in trouble. He's soaking the XP off of Nevermore right now. Gets
Only
hit with the
Timbersaw
wave.
has it,
And I
and
don't
he's
think
not over there.
Yeah, nobody's got the vision. Okay, so he will just soak and then walk away. Nobody noticed the disappearance of slight amounts of experience. There were too many heroes there anyway, sharing it. So TA had no idea that she was getting less, I think.
Yeah,
That's a really hard thing to
so-
watch.
It's really hard to watch, even if you're by yourself.
Right.
It's very difficult.
What's not hard to watch is what's about to happen to Clockwork, or is it hard to watch as a massacre
Well, it's hard
happens
for
there
me
in
to
the
watch.
river.
Yeah.
But
That was
on the
what
return,
was.
they're going to make a trade that they are happy with. The question is, can they go 1-for-1 on the towers to make it a much better trade for Vultur?
Yeah, I think maybe the. I mean, Shadow Fiend hits really hard.
Right. I mean, even if they don't go 1-for-1 on tower and take half of the tower's health, they still got a very valuable kill on a Timbersaw who had a relatively free farming lane. Now, here comes the TP. They got to be careful here. Pink is spamming like crazy. Centaur is saying, get the heck out of there, guys. And it's going to see if they do it in time. Now they make a play. SQM gets the stun off, so they will sacrifice the Rubik to the cause. But everyone else is able to get themselves out of trouble. Mid tower does go down as Hunter sticks around to finish it off. Down the bottom, Algo gets found out by Zone. Algo and Zone have a love-hate relationship. And by that, I mean Zone hates Algo, and Algo loves to get ganked by Timbersaw. Because that seems to be consistently what's happening in this match. Ooh, a good pick on Undying. That's that support Clockwork, man.
Man, he literally got his mechanism off. It's in his inventory. If he had been spamming that button, he might have lived there.
Algo doing a bit of scout about. Second tier to the tier 2 under assault. Looks like they want to come in though. Centaur leading the charge. He does not have his ultimate up for 15 seconds. There's the Shadow Blade. Nice little hide in the trees for P4 PETA. A little bit farther out than I am comfortable with right now for this Shadow Fiend.
Well, if he can just straight up play that, he's just going to kill this. Look at that. There's nothing that she can do.
Nicely done. In comes the Warlock ultimate, but it's not going to get anything. Kind of a waste here is he's now got to back away. Algo looking for the kill, kites into the trees. They're pinging him out saying, I need some help. Algo finds him, but too late, so the TP will go through. Algo manages to get out before he's blocked in the trees by the demon, and they'll push into this tower.
Did you catch what happened there? The Clinks could have gotten that kill.
Yeah, I know.
But what he was doing when you're trying to get somebody in the woods, what every professional player does is, oh, should I come back to this? Where's this going on?
It looks like they were going for Timber, but Timber's going to get away. No,
Oh,
he
no,
is
big
not.
hook shot.
Nico from downtown.
Okay,
But it doesn't matter.
He will end up getting away. He's got hooks of his own.
Hashtag
So what every
overhype.
professional player does, what all top rank players do basically when you're trying to get someone in fog, is you attack the ground in the direction that you're expecting someone in, because that way, even if you only get a split second of vision, you'll get the right click off. The problem is, if you do that where you have vision of a different opponent, your hero is just going to go back. So what happened was Clinks was attack clicking the ground over here to see wherever the Warlock had juke to, he would automatically start attacking him, and his hero just turned it around and attacked the tower instead, and it cost him the kill.
That's unfortunate, but that said, they're still doing relatively well. Vultur's now up 6-5. They pulled the net worth back to 2,000, the XP as well. And Vultur saying, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not go down with a fight. We will take this mid tower. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, Not Today continues their strategy of take towers, win fast. It's a simple strategy.
I mean, Not Today have been doing this all through the Team for them very right. Pick hard pushers and just collapse and force your opponents to panic and make mistakes.
Zone went in there before the creeps got there so that he could use the tower damage to up his refractive shield charges.
Yep. Yeah, and he's at a level where the tower can't even hurt.
Jeez. I hate Timbersaw.
You know, the problem is, too, there's really just no serious magical damage coming. to deal with the Timber. So you've got Double Edge, which is nice, but not enough. You've got Requiem of Souls if Timbersaw is holding still, which is a long shot, and the same is true for Shadow Races if he's holding still. Other than that, there's really just nowhere that the damage to kill the Timbersaw comes from, so it takes a really long time.
Timber very strong right now. Hunter going to come out, pops his ultimate, does a little more decay slap, and they will stop the push. Klink's trying to do a little sneaky with those searing arrows and the strafe. Dodges the Timbersaw, who has just shown up and wanted to play. It looks like the Centaur's going to come in and assist with the escape. Get a little bit of regen while they're at it. All right, let's take a look at the net worth. TA and Shadow Fiend are neck and neck in this match. The problem is that the Venge and the Timber are slightly ahead. SQM, this could be a huge kill for them. Venge has had a good farm. Here they come. P4 Pita, that's a nice kill. The Rock comes out. Nico in here to play, puts down the cogs, bounces everyone in different directions, and that will allow them to potentially withdraw from this fight, at the very least saving Shadow Fiend's life. So Clinks goes down, as does the Clockwork, in exchange for the core Venge. And Vultur will have wished for that to have gone a little bit better.
Yeah, they're going to lose Roche on this too, which is that's a big deal.
That's the crusher.
But killing your opponent's carry, I mean, that's pretty good. Remember, the Clockwork is a support.
Yeah, sure.
So losing the Clockwork's no big deal. The Clinks is an off laner. So losing the Clink, or was the Clinks a safe laner? No, he was in the off lane.
Yeah, he got wrecked by Timber.
Isn't that big of a deal either. But losing the Aegis at this point, when Not Today are already being this aggressive. I mean, take a look at Not Today's items too, right? The Desolator's up now. The Mechanism's up now. The Dragonlance is up now alongside a Helm of the Dominator. These guys have the armor and the attack speed and the negative armor to really start stripping towers extremely quickly.
Absolutely. Goldie's at 4,000. XP is just north of 2 as Not Today starts to pull forward. They're so strong with the Timbersaw. 14 charges on the Bloodstone. His regen is ridiculously high. He'll just tank the tower and then heal any damage it puts out. There's nothing they can do to initiate on this. Algo looked like he maybe thought about cutting the creep wave, but it's not going to matter. So he'll just sort of watch and wait as they look to go to the high ground. Not Today feeling very confident with that Aegis in hand. Desolator on the TA for more armor reduction. They're going to melt this tower down. This is that time when Timbersaw becomes really difficult to control, and you have that happening along with TA and Desolator spam. It's going to be tough to come back from this, but they get a good initiation. But look how fast he's healing. He jumps to safety. He's coming back in at 3/4 health already.
Yeah, that was a really nice play by the Undying to get in there and save.
Swap by the Shadow Fiend. Nico jumps outside trying to lock them out of the fight. They end up losing 2, and those 2 deaths will force buybacks. Algo going to go down here potentially as well. Yeah, he will. They're forced back by chakrams everywhere. This is...
It's looking pretty grim.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. So Nevermore in a tough spot. He has... Doesn't he have the Aegis? He does, so he'll come right back up. The rest of his team on standby to help him out. They're going to buy some Joning with the Chakram. He blinks to safety. No big deal. 19 minutes, and that's a tower and 2 racks down, supporting Not Today's style of play.
They're going to fake back if I know Not Today, which apparently I don't. I 100% expected them to fake out toward the shrine and then come back in and take
in your defense, normally they would, just not today. Goldie's at 10,000. XP is at 6. Both favoring Not Today, who is playing really, really well and showing us why they are on the top of the brackets and making it look like we may have a tiebreaker for top seed coming out of South America. Yeah,
it's looking real good for them. And the way that this ends up breaking down, too, because there's a team that cannot show up, this is a perfect time to make this point. Let me actually take a look at the bracket, because the team that can't show up, I believe, is Infamous.
Yeah.
And if Not Today loses, the sad thing is Infamous would have the top seed without a tiebreaker.
Oh.
They would absolutely have it. But if Not Today win this, Infamous have to forfeit all the way down to the 3rd seed.
Huh. That's unfortunate for them.
And it's starting to look pretty good for Not Today and pretty bad for Infamous. They're probably on the sidelines wringing their hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching from a distance. Meanwhile, a nice little pickoff there on the bottom as they go for the gank and get themselves the core from Not Today. Midas, a team that never says die. These guys have impressed us in the last game as well as this one. I still feel yes, they're playing against a team that's maybe a little, or isn't maybe, is significantly stronger than the last opponents, but their map awareness and team communication has not disappointed. They are playing a team that does feel mechanically stronger, but are keeping pace because of how well they communicate as a team.
Yeah, and this is a really weird draft. This is a difficult draft to execute as well. It seems like Vultur are experimenting a little bit because they know that they're out.
Right.
And they're doing a really good job with it. The support clockwork thing is not easy to execute. And also, look at the split push.
Yeah.
They got a tier 2 for tier 2 trade, and they are like 7,000 net worth behind at 20 minutes. That's impressive.
So they did lose the Sanctuary. Now they escape attempt. Centaur comes in, does do the rescue with his ultimate. They will leave Rubik behind as the sacrificial lamb. The rest of the team scatters to the four corners of the globe. They're calling it. It seems like Timber wants to try to do a wraparound, hoping to close them off. Look at him. He says, I want to go through the jungle, get a pick, kill the Ancients, get the Sanctuary, then go up to the top lane and finish this damn push. I like that.
Yeah, he has big plans.
He knows what he wants. Sure. The Ancients.
And there's the Ancient. Yeah, it's following the exact path that he drew on the map. I'm gonna go get in. I'm gonna kill down the shrine. I'm gonna move in and I'm gonna get a bone.
Right. The rest of the team's like, you do you, bro. We're going bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we can just win.
Oh,
you want to win?
Hey, Timber.
You want to farm?
Timber
dude?
goes. You can actually hear the conversation. Fine.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Dude, you have a pipe. Let's just go high ground. So they do have the pipe. They're going to use it. They go straight to the high ground. They start to melt down this tower. The regen is so high from zone. He's in his window of maximum effect, and they want to really use that. So good on Not today for knowing their windows and executing on them. That will be a tower. Big rock comes out from the Warlock. Will it be enough? No, it will not. As Nico goes down, we see the end of Clockwork. P for Peta's got to run. SQM somehow survives. He finally goes down, but they've already taken out 4. Buyback comes out as Shadow Fiend dies. Will it be enough, though? Will Algo's buyback and the potential Centaur Warrunner buyback be enough? Centaur decides not to go ahead and spend, which tells me that maybe they're discussing just saying, have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, this is over one way or the other. The Shadow Fiend's not up for 45 seconds, and even when he is up, he only has half souls. So his damage has been severely reduced for this.
I mean, we're at a 22 charges on a Bloodstoke for crying out loud here.
Yeah. It's really difficult to make an early comeback against a push strategy as a Shadow Fiend, just because your early game damage is 100% based out of those souls. And every time you die, if your opponents are pushing, you don't have any chance to go out and get souls.
Centaur runs around from the backside, puts up the ultimate. They want to try to finish the Undying, but he lives somehow. Masoku comes out. He's also going to stay alive. The heals are real, and basically the Centaur just trying to keep them out of his base. Buyback from the Rubik. Centaur will go down, and the Storm Pike, Hurricane Pike will be delivered to the TA, and they'll go right back to pushing the high ground. Centaur still has his buyback technically. It looks like he wants to wait to use it. P for Peta, no ultimate, just walking around the outside. And they will go ahead and massacre Rubik before they finish off the push.
Yeah, this is...
What they're doing is getting items for viewers.
Getting lots of items.
Yeah, right?
Okay, here we go. The mass item spam is coming out. The South American Classic, as they say. And GG well played comes out. And the disconnects are already there. Hopefully this game actually finishes, unlike the Unknown game. But kudos to Vultur for finishing it.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Apparently that's not on everybody's mind, but kudos to them.
So Not Today takes the win. We've got one more game now coming. It's going to be Not Today versus SG Gaming for the tiebreaker for the top of the bracket. My name's Toffees. My partner in crime is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You can find us at The Wonder Cow and at Toffees TV over on Twitter, or you can follow the channel if you're enjoying what you're seeing. Gorgon and I love casting. We're together at least twice a week doing everything from college to pro. We love covering Dota, and we've got even more for you. My voice, it sounds like it's getting a little bit rough, Gorgon. Thank God there's only one game left. Don't go anywhere because that game's going to be a good one, and it's coming up in just a few minutes.